live on Facebook.
Okay, here we go. Hello, and thanks for joining us again for another edition of Get Real with Real Estate. Oh, I'll try this again. I heard it.
We're live, so you're not, you're getting this raw.
That's right. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Get Real with Real Estate on K-Wayne 106. Action Jack Colville with you, joined by Jameson Melby from Remax Results. And Jameson, we're ready to roll. We're into the month of May, and I guess things are really firing here on the real estate scene. If people are looking to list, tell us what you're looking for. I know you'd appreciate some business.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, listings are selling like hotcakes, which is really, really good for sellers, really good for agents, not so good for buyers. But if you do have a house and you're thinking about selling, if you're between $120,000 and $200,000, we can easily sell that house for you, and we can get you top dollar. We're at the top of the curve, we believe, here in the industry. So what that means is we'll hang on for a bit, and then prices will start to go down at some point. So if you're looking at getting as much as possible for your house, or if you owe quite a bit, let's say you bought it in 2005 to 2007, right now is a really good time to sell. So we can get you out from under that house and get you something else. So really good time for sellers.
Excellent. So contact Jameson, and we'll give you more information later on in the show. So let's get rolling here, Jameson. My house is for sale. How do I know what buyers thought about it after a showing?
The nice thing about our showing system is that we can book showings through it, and then once the agent shows the house, it sends out a feedback form to them that is customized for the property. So they hopefully the agent will fill out feedback and let us know what the buyer thought. And if they don't fill out the feedback on day one, they get emailed every day until they do fill out that feedback. And I can chase them down too and try to get feedback on it. Most often, what we find is if somebody doesn't fill out the feedback, they're not interested in the property. But people that are interested, they'll submit good feedback, and they'll tell you if they feel the price is high. If there's anything you can do, condition-wise to clean it up or anything like that. So feedback is always really good.
Open houses, I've seen a ton of them lately. Open houses, good, bad, or otherwise?
Well, we have a lot of mixed feelings on open houses in the industry, and consumers do as well. So the big thing is when I list a house, I ask the seller, what do you think about open houses? Do you want them done? Because some people, due to privacy, they don't want their neighbors, going through their house. Some people really do want them. And the one thing I talk about with them is that there's been very few sales that I can track to an open house where somebody actually came in, said this is the house for them, and bought it. But what happens is that, let's say somebody comes in an open house, they tell their friend, relative, something like that about this great house they saw, and then they book the showing with an agent. Or somebody comes to the open house, they already have an agent they're working with, they come back for a second showing. So the point of origination really could have been the open house. But like I said, we don't have the metrics to really track those secondary, referrals, things like that from the open house. But I think that they're better to do than not do, simply because it gets more people in your house.
Yeah, absolutely. So how is a home kept safe and secure when strangers are in there, are entering it?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we can do is putting electronic lock boxes on your house. The way that works is the agent accesses it through their cell phone via Bluetooth. So the second somebody opens the box, I get an email that they went in. And then, we have set times they're supposed to be there. So let's say the showing is from 4 to 5. They're not going to go there early, and they're going to be there during that time. But like I said, I see when they open it. The other benefit is, let's say it's a vacant property. We have those boxes set on timers so that before 7 a.m. and after 9 p.m. they cannot access the house. Even if they are a realtor with the code, they can't access the house. It's locked. So that's really good. People aren't going to be going in there after hours, and they're certainly not going to be going in there outside of their scheduled showing time. So that's the best thing we can do there.
All right, excellent info there. And what does MLS stand for? I know it's not Major League Soccer.
It is not soccer. It is the Multiple Listing Service. That's the biggest thing that realtors have in our arsenal, basically, is this big database of all of the data. So that holds the active listings, the solds, pendings, things like that. That one entry point is what syndicates out to the broker websites. Most broker websites are updated several times a day. So I tell people the best place to find your houses is having a realtor set up an auto search from the MLS directly to you. So when new listings come on, price reductions in your set criteria, you're getting that data. That's the best place to find it. The second best place would be broker websites, because the MLS syndicates to the broker websites. Now, if you're on the third-party sites, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Homes.com, things like that, they're getting a feed, but it's not always accurate. So, for instance, I had somebody just this morning ask about a house that is a pre-foreclosure on Zillow, and I had to break it to her that it just closed April 30th. So, not a good place to be looking. So, auto search from a realtor or searching broker websites, best place to find your data.
And Jameson, I can't resist. I know you're Zillow's #1 fan.
President and CEO of the fan club.
There we go. Good stuff. We have just begun, folks. Part 2 is coming up, okay?
Right on.
Sounds good, Jameson. All right. For Jameson Melby, Action Jack Caldwell here with you on KWayne 106 with Get Real with Real Estate. We're back in just a moment.
All right.
You are the president of the Zillow fan club.
About a month ago, I had a home inspector send me a text saying he thought it was hilarious, Zillow reference.
That's right.
So
I would say on your vehicle, you might want to put a Zillow logo on there.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, can't advertise that one.
All right, here we go. All right. All right, we're back. Part 2 of Get Real with Real Estate. Action Jack Caldwell with you. Jameson Melby from RE/MAX Results joining me as well. You know, Jameson, it's amazing what we talk about during that little 30-second commercial break. But anyways,
right.
You know, if we could do a closed circuit broadcast sometime, that would be, be worth the price of admission, as we say.
Well, hey, if they want to see the shenanigans, they can go to Facebook. Look me up, RE/MAX Results, Jameson Melby Real Estate. This is going live on Facebook, so it'll live forever. Yeah.
That's right. So there we go. I better watch myself then. So let's get back to part 2 and talk. Well, a huge part of buying a home is money. So earnest money, Jameson. What is the scoop on earnest money?
Okay, so earnest money. When we talk about zero down loans, USDA, VA, we're referring to the down payment. So you always have to have earnest money when you make an offer. And what earnest money is, it's basically good faith money that you're putting down on the house, kind of as a deposit. Like you put down a deposit on a car if you're going to come back and buy it. You put a deposit on a rental. You're putting a deposit on this property that gives the sellers some certainty that you will be buying this. Typically what we see is $1,000 minimum or 1% of the sale price. So if you're buying a house for $200,000, you'll have $2,000 earnest money. $300,000, $3,000 earnest money is ideal. We can get away with $1,000, but it doesn't look as good as 1%. So what the deal is with that now, if you have a home inspection done and you don't like the results of the home inspection, you feel like this just is not the house for you, you get to back out of that transaction and retain your earnest money. If the house doesn't appraise, let's say, we go through the process, it doesn't appraise, we can get that earnest money back. Now, let's say you're 2 weeks from closing and you just decide, hey, I don't like this house anymore, there's one I like down the street, I'd rather buy, I'm backing out. At that point, your earnest money is certainly up for grabs because you have most likely strung the seller along for a month, month and a half with their home off of the market where they could have sold it to somebody else. So now, the seller will be fighting for that earnest money. It's a little more complicated. We have to have both the seller and the buyer sign off on it. If one party doesn't sign, there's other ways to go about it. Really, we don't need to get into that on the radio. But that's the general overlay of what earnest money is there.
All right, very good. Again, excellent information. So, do I really need a realtor to sell my home?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a real estate agent, so I'm not going to say no. But we have a lot of people listing their houses for sale by owner in this good market, and typically we see that house on the for sale by owner market per se for 2 to 4 weeks, and then they usually end up listing with an agent anyway. The biggest things are the sellers get uncomfortable with all the showings. They're not well versed in pre-qualifying the buyers that they end up showing their house. And it is a little bit strange when you have people you don't know, strangers coming into your own home, and you're the person showing it. So we're professionals. We do this all the time. And we do pre-qualify people as much as we possibly can before showings. is one thing, and there are statistics that realtors do sell houses for more money than houses that are not listed with an agent, for sale by owners. So if you want to net more money for your house, it's a good agent, or a good agent. It's a good reason to call a real estate agent.
All right. And Jameson, what are some keys? What are some important things to look for when choosing the right realtor?
Well, it's not a bad idea to ask them their experience, how long they've been doing it. I've been selling real estate 11 years, but what's more important than how long they've been selling real estate is how much real estate do they sell lately. Because we have some agents who, they've been doing this 20, 30 years, but real estate is very different than it was back then. Even when I first started, we had 10 photos on the MLS. Now we can have 24 photos on there. It's just different. We have the real estate websites, we have third-party sites, Facebook, things like that. So you want somebody who is well versed in, running ads where it needs to be seen, getting the most exposure for the property, having it look as good as it possibly can online to get those showings, and somebody who sells, real estate at a high level. I've talked about this with other people that, if you have a heart surgeon and he's doing one surgery a month, or he's doing 5 or 6 a month, which person are you going to want to go with? You're going to want to go with the person with experience. Same thing when you're selling the most expensive asset that you'll ever own. You want to have somebody who's really good at what they do, has a good track record of selling houses.
That's right. Yeah, a person who has the reps in, as we say in the sports business. Now,
yes.
What are some of the things I should avoid? And of course, this is a big time selling season. What are some of the things I should avoid when I'm selling my home?
Even in a seller's market, I know it's a natural urge, but what you want to do is resist the urge to overprice the house. That's one conversation I have with every seller that I meet with. They hear that we're in a seller's market and they want as much for the property, but we still have to look at the comparable properties and make sure we're not going too far above that price range. That's number one. Number two, do not have your house cluttered, full of stuff. I mean, you're going to be moving anyway, especially if you call me, you're going to be moving, right? So you want to make sure to start pre-packing. So if you have a lot of knickknacks, a lot of things that fill up that room, start packing those now before we take the photos. So you can make your room look as big as possible. The analogy I use is when you go to a motel, you check in, you walk in that room, the bed is made perfectly, there's very little possessions in there, it looks nice and clean and neat. That's exactly how we want the house to look for the photo shoot. After that, real life happens, you can unpack a few things, but you still want that room to look as clean and as big as possible for showings too.
Jameson, before I let you go, I have to mention this. Not that we're going to be selling our home anytime soon, but our daughter is coming home from college. So her room is painted like dreamsicle colors, okay? If you can imagine dreamsicle colors. One of the things we're going to do this summer is have her help out and repaint her bedroom downstairs.
Yes, neutralize a little
yes,
bit.
Yes. So I mean, just as a thing,
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a preemptive strike, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. If you know you're selling in the next 3 to 5 years, why not start doing some of these projects now?
Yeah.
So that you don't feel the crunch when the time comes.
Absolutely, yeah. Save you a little time later. All right, if folks have liked what they've heard, I want to contact you, they're looking to list or what have you, what do they need to do?
Yeah, so again, we stream this live on Facebook, and then it's on my Facebook page after. So if you're listening to this on the radio, you want to see it again, listen to it again, or see the shenanigans in between the break, go to RE/MAX Results, Jameson Melby Real Estate. That's where it is. My website, if you want to look at houses or get in touch with me, is JamesonMelby.com, and always my cell phone number is a good place. You can call, text me, however you want to get a hold of me. That is 651-764-8933.
Sounds great, Jameson. A fun show as always. We'll see you again next week.
Sounds good, Jack.
All right, for Jameson Melby and RE/MAX Results, Action Jack Caldwell here with you. That's Get Real with Real Estate on KWING 106. Have a great weekend.